who were dealt a tough hand yesterday when Kyrie Irving left the game with a sprained right ankle. He didn't return to the game, and our Rachel Nichols reported that Kyrie left the game on crutches and in a walking boot. With James Harden's status also in question at the moment, here's what Steve Nash said after the game.
I have no idea, what's going to happen with Kai in the coming days. We'll cross our fingers and hope that it's better than I don't know, better than what? Better than missing the next game. It is tricky with Kevin. We all got to pitch in. We all got to play together. We got to move the ball. And I thought tonight we got a little single-minded, looking for Kevin every time. Puts a little bit too much pressure on him. It makes us a little more predictable, I thought, which puts a lot of burden on him. Yeah, Kai, x-rays were negative, but we'll have to see how it goes tomorrow and further tests and treatment. And then James, I think it's an independent case. I don't want James to be rushed back. If he's able to play next game or the game after, that's fantastic. If he's not, I don't want to rush him back and jeopardize, doing something worse or making this a long-term injury. So we'll see. We'll have to take all these things into account and evaluate them and try to make a smart decision.
All right, Matt, so how does the Kyrie injury change the outlook of this series?
It changes it a lot, and welcome to the NBA head coaching, Steve Nash. I mean, it's kind of been free-flowing. Obviously, they've had to play without stars, but to have two of your stars down at this point of the season is tough. Kyrie's ankle touched the ground. So being a former player, you always hope for the best, but I don't really see him returning in the next game or two. Obviously, as Steve said, they don't want to push James. Hamstrings you can't push even if they wanted to. So James will know early on if he can't go. If they can't, a lot of pressure is going to be on KD to not only score, but empower his team and have them believing in themselves and also be able to make plays for that team because there's not too many playmakers. This team's offense is predicated upon their normal one-on-one mismatches with their superstars, and then defense adjusts and they make plays for other people. So without two of your three superstars, KD's going to have to burden a lot of the load, but I think he's capable of it, so we're going to see.
You know what they still have? Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
Kevin Durant, best player in the world. I mean, Kevin Durant to me is the best player still left in the playoffs.
Agreed.
I mean, and that's not a diss on anybody else. That's just how good KD is.
Yep.
And I think when you talk about playmakers, one, he can create his own shot. Two, I think Blake Griffin can play make a little bit. Matt, you've played with him in that role. And there was some question of whether or not Blake was hurt in that game because he didn't play a lot of the second half. I checked on that. He's absolutely fine. There was no injury to Blake Griffin in that game for us. I actually think that's part of why the Nets went and got him. That's why they liked him so much, is because of his ability to play make. In this series, he's been more of a defender on Giannis. But in this series, I think now if Kyrie's going to be out, and Matt's right. I don't know how he's going to play with that ankle as bad as his. And the Nets are a team that have essentially, they've load managed everybody. They've learned how to play like that. And Kyrie is actually the only net who has a negative, when he's not on the court, they have a negative net rating. It's minus 4.6. Everybody else is positive. So he's the one guy that there's a real effect when he's not on the court. But this is, as you said, welcome to coaching in the playoffs, Steve Nash.
So,
have some adjustments.
Coach Barnes, what kind of adjustments would you make with this lineup right now?
AAU coach, first of all.
There you are.
Like I said, KD is. I think Steve made a great point too. I think since everyone was down, they tried to force feed KD, and it almost looked like KD was forcing when we know KD has never really been about that. He is so smooth and efficient and effective that it's just going to be a different role now. I mean, KD hasn't had a situation where he's really had to do everything. And he's going to have to do everything now, which we all think he's capable of. Other guys are going to have to step up, though. This is what you want, though, as a role player. Obviously, you never want to lose their star players, but when the role players have an opportunity to step up, and they have role players that are capable of doing that, including Blake Griffin, which is crazy we're calling him a role player, this team still has what it takes, but I think all the pressure shifts to Milwaukee now.
So can Blake turn back the clock a little bit, and can Joe Harris take on a bigger load here, Mo?
Well, and here's the thing. George, I'm going to steal Mike D'Antoni saying, the ball finds energy. Right. Okay, so when you don't have Kyrie Irving out there creating for you, when you don't have him breaking people down off the dribble, the ball just has to move. Yeah. Because the ball can move faster than any one player can penetrate or dribble. Okay, so I think in this situation, you just fall back on those offensive concepts that Mike D'Antoni and Steve Nash popularized in Phoenix. I think that's how they play. It shouldn't matter as much if you don't have. Now it hurts because you don't have the guy who can break people down, but they just need to move the ball.
Yeah, I would like to see Blake get back to what he used to do with us with the Clippers, because you see so many oftentimes he'll get the rebound and pass it to a guard. Blake was one of the best pushing point forward, ball handling, playmaking bigs we had in the game. So I think he needs to turn back the clock a little bit just on his mindset and his aggressiveness. I think Blake has done a perfect job of doing what they needed him to do. They're going to need him to do more now, and I think he'll be capable of that.
And don't sleep on Bruce Brown. I know a lot of people gave him a lot of grief after Game 3, but that kid has played really well for this team this season. Real quick, before we move on, do you think we'll see Harden in this series?
I don't think we'll see him next game. I think we'll possibly see him in Game 6, if at all.
I think we only see him if they absolutely have to try. Like the same way we saw Anthony Davis. Like if you're facing elimination, you might as well give him a chance to try to play. But the thing with hamstrings, when you hurt them multiple times, you just need to rest.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.